Welcome to the Ecom Logistics Podcast, your go-to for e-commerce logistics insights, trends, successes, and lessons from the leaders and innovators in our space.
Talking about the tech side of it, right? If you want to dig into, like you said, tech is what it is, right? It's that data-driven decision-making in the logistics space. You're constantly reevaluating. What makes you cut cost by 60%, right? Of course, there is a secret sauce to the tech that's actually helping you do that. Would love to hear that from you.
I think when we say tech, it's actually a massive data play. So it's all about getting the right data, but being able to action it. And that's where, it's collecting the right data, making sense of it, and then based on that data, taking the right actions in a really efficient way, which is where technology comes in to ultimately automate as much as we can. Just concretely, for every shipment, we collect about 1,600 data points. So every time a courier looks at our app, we're monitoring and understanding their behavior. Did we price the route correctly? Do we need to adapt the pricing to make sure that the courier accepts that route and delivers on time to our customers? Thinking about our route estimates, there's hundreds of factors that we need to take into account. Things like adjusting them based on the weather, the time of day, the day of the week, to ensure that each route is really priced accurately. And in a city like London, you need that very granular approach, as a route of only apartment blocks is going to take a lot longer than a route of terraced houses. And we need to factor that into courier pay, because if not, if you think about how the incumbents do it, is every route within that postcode is priced the same, static.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're leaving a lot of margin on the table, right? Because you're not effectively pricing efficiently, or you're underpaying couriers and not paying them appropriately, which leads to churn, which leads to bad experience, and so on. So there's so much that you can do with technology and data to ultimately have these scanning algorithms that constantly look at your network and think about, okay, how can I intervene in real time, taking those proactive measures to ensure that great customer experience.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, one of the numbers that I was just reading up was you look at 1,600 data points per shipment, right? That's required to all the points that you are making, from your delivery partner to how long is it going to take, the time of the day it's going to happen, right? Where is it getting delivered? What's the density that it will be delivered? For that partner, how many packages are going to go on that route? All of that. You make a decision right now, but if the pickup happens 30 minutes from now, there is also a variability of like some accident happened on the way that just added like 15 minutes additional for the courier to actually do the delivery
100%.
or the last mile partner to do the delivery. So that comes into play as well. And so it is constant decision making, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Constant intervention.
You mentioned there is margin that's left on the table, right? The traditional networks are based on arbitrage, right? Like it's either a density game or it comes down to like margin maximization, right? At an aggregate. It's not looking at each shipment from an optimization perspective. That I can tell you, I come from a background in courier, right? And every couple of years or so, we would go through, okay, it's volume, density, and then we would kind of shift the model to go in. Nope, now it's margin, right? It's this constant play, because another point that you very well made was when you have large networks that are predefined, it's very hard to move, right? The more you scale, the harder it becomes when it comes to that, and rightly so, without a question. You're put in, literally, each sort center could be $200 million in just developing a depot, right? And like you can't just be like, okay, now I'm going to go with a newer model. So
exactly,
makes a lot of sense. What do you think is next for the industry when it comes to delivery? There is drone around the corner, but how do you see all of that evolve and the role of AI?
I think we're super excited about the role of AI to really help us optimize a lot of the work that we do. If you're smart about using AI, it can actually help operate a lot of parts of your business that are usually mainly in the physical world and bringing them to the digital world. And I think that there's going to be a big play there on how you can essentially make the digital world do more in the physical world. So really leveraging AI to optimize as much as you can of the operation by itself without needing all that headcount in operations. So there is a world where, as a logistics company, that before you were really seen as a heavy asset, heavy operative level organization, can actually be looking very different in the coming years if you build it out properly. I think that there's a chance for that. Drones, I still don't buy into, just in the UK, just because of the legislations and how much would need to change before that can become a reality. I think we have a long way to go in the UK before we'll see drone deliveries.
Yeah, that's interesting. The challenges on the North American side has definitely been on the regulatory front, specifically on legislative front. But I think it's overcoming that. FAA has launched the necessary regulatory framework to be able to control it, and more pilots happening, and more actual physical deliveries happening. So I think you might see more happen in North America before you see it out in the UK.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll definitely want to keep close to that.
Exactly. I mean, the entire idea was creating superhighways, right? It required a system change, and that has finally been to a point where it is approved now. And on the AI front, there is also a threat from AI, right? I feel any business that's in the service side where there is actual physical execution of something that's happening, I think AI just becomes an added benefit rather than detriment. If you are just a pure software company, I think, you should be a little worried about AI, but from your perspective, you leverage it.
100% agree with you. 100%.
Amazing.
Thanks for listening to the Ecom Logistics podcast. If this episode brought you value, share it with your network and leave us a review. It really helps others discover the show and join in these conversations. And if your team is planning an event in 2025, consider partnering with Ecom Logistics Podcast. We're always looking for meaningful opportunities to elevate conversations shaping logistics and e-commerce. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep leading the way forward.